In Islam, the concept of death, maut, holds significant spiritual and practical implications. Muslims believe that death is not the end of existence but rather a transition to the afterlife. Here are some key aspects of the concept of death in Islam. 1. Mortality and responsibility. Muslims understand that death is inevitable and that every individual will ultimately face it. Alongside this recognition, Islam emphasizes the concept of accountability. Muslims believe that all humans will be held accountable for their actions in this earthly life, and death marks the beginning of this accountability. 2. Temporary separation. Islam teaches that death results in a temporary separation of the body and the soul. When a person dies, their soul is believed to depart from the physical body and enter an intermediate realm called the barzakh. In this phase, the deceased soul awaits the day of judgment. 3. The importance of preparation. Islam stresses the importance of preparing for the eventual meeting with death. Muslims are encouraged to live a righteous and obedient life, adhering to the teachings of Islam. The belief in accountability in the afterlife motivates Muslims to lead a morally upright life, seeking forgiveness for their shortcomings and striving to perform good deeds. 4. Funeral rituals. Islamic funeral rituals emphasize simplicity and humility. When a Muslim dies, their body is washed and wrapped in a plain white cloth, kafan, according to specific Islamic traditions. The body is then buried, ideally as soon as possible, without delay. Prayers are offered for the deceased, and family and friends gather to remember and seek mercy for the departed soul. 5. Belief in the afterlife. Islam teaches the belief in a final day of judgment when all individuals, including the deceased, will be resurrected and held accountable for their actions on earth. The righteous will be rewarded with paradise, known as Jannah, while the wrongdoers will face punishment in hell, known as Jahannam. 6. Mourning and grief. Islamic practices encourage expressing grief and mourning for the loss of a loved one. However, excessive mourning, wailing, or engaging in activities that contradict Islamic principles of patience and acceptance are discouraged. Muslims are encouraged to remember the deceased in their prayers, supplicate for their forgiveness, and offer ongoing acts of charity on their behalf. It's important to note that Islamic beliefs and practices around death may vary in different cultural contexts, but the core principles remain consistent among Muslims worldwide.